It was supposed to be a night of thrills and excitement. The annual Willow Creek Carnival had rolled into town, bringing with it flashing lights, laughter, and rides that promised a heart-pounding rush. Among them, the Terror Train stood out as the star attraction. Known for its chilling theme and eerie atmosphere, the haunted train ride was famous for scaring even the bravest of souls. Alex, Emma, Jake, and Sarah, a group of high school friends, had eagerly anticipated their visit to the carnival. They were thrill seekers, always chasing the next big scare. Little did they know, the Terror Train had a dark secret. As they boarded the train, the ride operator, a strange man with hollow eyes, gave them a smile that felt more like a warning than a welcome. The whistle blew, and the train slowly began its journey into the heart of darkness. As the train rattled through the carnival grounds, the group laughed nervously, waiting for the usual jump scares and mechanical ghouls to emerge. But the deeper the train went, the darker it became. The laughter died down as the lights flickered and the train entered a long, narrow tunnel. Inside, the air felt thick and cold. The train's usual soundtrack of creepy sound effects and screams was replaced by an unsettling silence. Jake, always the joker, tried to break the tension. "Guess they forgot to pay the electric bill," he chuckled, but his voice echoed unnervingly in the silence. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the tunnel, and the train jolted to a stop. The lights went out completely. Emma gripped Alex's arm. "This isn't part of the ride, is it?" she whispered. As the friends sat in pitch darkness, the tension in the air became palpable. The ride, which was supposed to last only a few minutes, felt like an eternity. Just when they thought it couldn't get worse, they heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, and getting closer. Jake called out, "Hey, is anyone there? We're stuck." A figure appeared in the faint light from the emergency lanterns. It was the conductor, but something was off. His face was pale, his eyes vacant, and his clothes tattered, as if he hadn't left the train in years. He didn't speak. He just stood there, staring at them. Without warning, the train lurched forward, but the conductor remained motionless, as if the train was passing through him. And then, just like that, he vanished. The train picked up speed, but the atmosphere had changed. The friends sat in stunned silence, unsure of what they had just witnessed. The scenery outside the train's windows had also shifted. The carnival was nowhere to be seen. Instead, they were speeding through an endless, desolate landscape under a blood-red sky. Sarah was the first to panic. "This isn't right. We need to get off this thing." Before anyone could respond, the train screeched to a halt again, this time in front of an old, abandoned station. The doors slid open with a hiss, revealing a platform covered in dust and cobwebs. "Let's get out of here," Alex said, his voice shaking. But as they stood to leave, Sarah screamed. Something cold and invisible had grabbed her, pulling her back into her seat. The others tried to free her, but it was as if an unseen force was holding her down. With a final, blood-curdling scream, Sarah disappeared. There was nothing left of her but the echo of her terror. Panic set in. Emma was crying, Jake was swearing, and Alex was frantically looking for a way out. The train doors remained open, but the platform outside seemed to stretch into an infinite void. There was no escape. "We have to stay together," Jake insisted, his voice trembling. "We can't split up." But as the train began to move again, the group couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Shadows danced along the walls of the train car, twisting and shifting into grotesque shapes. Every now and then, one of the shadows seemed to reach out toward them, as if testing their boundaries. The ride, which had once been a harmless thrill, had turned into a nightmare they couldn't wake from. The train entered another tunnel, this one even darker than the last. As they passed through, the group began to see images flickering outside the windows. At first, they were scenes from old carnival's bright lights, smiling faces, and games of chance. But as the train sped up, the scenes turned darker, They saw accidents, fires, and broken rides. They saw the faces of people trapped in the carnival, their expressions frozen in terror. And then they saw something that made their blood run cold: images of themselves, riding the terror train, looking exactly as they did now. But in each image, one of them was missing. Emma clutched Alex's arm. "It's us. They're showing us our fate." The train pulled into another station, this one even more decrepit than the last. The doors opened, and this time, the friends could see figures standing on the platform. They were dressed in old-fashioned carnival attire, but their eyes were hollow, and their faces were gaunt. "These are the people who never made it off the ride," Alex whispered. One of the figures stepped forward, a woman in a torn wedding dress. Her voice was barely a whisper as she spoke. "You are not the first, and you will not be the last. The train demands souls." Jake tried to run, but as soon as he stepped off the train, he was swallowed by the darkness. His screams echoed back through the tunnel as the train pulled away, leaving nothing but an empty platform behind. With only Alex and Emma left, the terror was palpable. They realized the ride operator just have known about the train's curse. They were not the first victims, and they wouldn't be the last. Desperation took hold. "We need to find the operator. He has to know how to stop this," Emma urged. As if responding to their plea, the train began to move again, this time faster, the lights flickering madly as they sped through a nightmarish landscape. Alex spotted the control room up ahead, where the operator would be. But when they arrived, the room was empty except for a single note written in blood. "You can't escape. The train is alive." Determined not to become the next victims, Alex and Emma decided to confront the source of the train's evil. They moved toward the engine, where they believed the heart of the train was. The deeper they went, the more twisted the interior of the train became. The walls were covered in pulsating veins, as if the train were a living entity. The air grew thick with the smell of decay. As they reached the engine, they found a grotesque sight: the conductor, now fully transformed into a monstrous figure, his body fused with the train. "This is where it ends," Alex whispered, as the conductor turned toward them, his eyes glowing with malevolence. The train lurched violently, throwing Alex and Emma to the ground. The conductor, now a grotesque fusion of man and machine, advanced on them, his voice a distorted growl. "You can't leave. You're part of the train now." With no other options, Alex grabbed a piece of broken metal from the floor and swung it at the conductor. The creature roared in pain, but it wasn't enough to stop him. Emma joined in, using whatever she could find as a weapon. In the chaos, they managed to destroy the control panel that powered the train. The lights flickered wildly, and the walls shook as if the entire train was screaming in pain. The train began to fall apart around them. The walls crumbled, the floor buckled, and the air filled with smoke and debris. Alex and Emma ran toward the last remaining door, their hearts pounding in their chests. Just as they reached the exit, the conductor let out one final, furious scream, his body disintegrating into dust. The train collapsed behind them, pulling itself into the void as Alex and Emma leapt out, landing hard on the carnival grounds. They were back, but the carnival was empty, eerily silent, as if no one had ever been there. Breathing heavily, Alex and Emma stumbled away from the wreckage of the terror train. The carnival was gone, the rides vanished, and the lights extinguished. They had escaped, but the terror of the train lingered in their minds. As they reached the outskirts of Willow Creek, they turned back one last time. In the distance, they saw it, a single, flickering light from the ruins of the terror train. The train may have been destroyed, but its spirit remained, waiting for the next group of thrill seekers to board.